All right, we are live. Good morning, everybody. I know we're here a little earlier than we normally come to you guys, but hey, Reese's Pieces. But we got a lot of stuff going on. We got some moving part. Oh, we have some moving parts. So we wanted to get to you guys early rather than not be able to get to you at all. Um, El Teddy, good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
You have anything you want to share with the people?
Good morning. Good morning. Nothing other than that. Hey, it's a busy Sunday morning. Good morning.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to bear with us today. We have a lot of moving parts, but we're gonna get to you guys. We didn't do a show last week because one, it was Easter, and even though we are not living in a normal world, we did understand that people had Easter things going on, whether it was virtually through social distancing or doing whatever. I know I had Easter situation, and El Teddy had a Easter sort of like situation, and so slash work situation. And so we didn't come to you guys last week, but we did want to pick up this week and just bring you some information. First and foremost, April is Autism Awareness Month, and I um wanted to acknowledge that and just kind of maybe go over a few things in reference to autism. We've sort of spoken on autism in the spectrum when we did our special ed. Um, I think it was part two when we actually talked about the different disabilities and what that looked like under the umbrella of special education. I'm not saying, that's what I'm under the umbrella of special education, but I did want to kind of maybe bring a few things to you guys about autism. Hey, Vovo, about autism as it relates to the spectrum. I know right now we had a couple of questions about resources for parents with students on the spectrum right now while everybody is home, schooling, virtual learning, how whatever language your school district is using right now. My suggestion is first and foremost I would tap into resources like Autism Speaks. There are a lot of resources on that website. Um, um that I found is, when I was looking for some resources for you guys, I have not been able to find like specific teaching programs or learning programs that are free that parents can tap into for their students. One, first of all, autism looks different. There's a spectrum. Good morning, Belize. How you doing? Um, that's not a dumb question, Reese's Pieces. That's actually a good question. The question is, can children grow out of autism? So let me say this: I have heard stories where parents have said that their child has grown out of autism. I would caution to say maybe certain behaviors aren't as severe as children get older who have been diagnosed. I'm not a doctor, nor am I a clinician, so I don't want to say, oh yeah, it can happen or it can't happen. But I know that there have been cases where parents feel like their kids have grown out of it. Also, what's important to understand is it's something that you can develop at an older age as well. It's not something that if you don't have autism as a kid, you never ever going to get it. You can develop as an older person. You can develop the behaviors of someone on the spectrum. I found that out recently myself. Elta, do you want to speak on it? I know you've had experience with autism in your classroom and things like that. Did you want to speak on it? I feel like I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. My takeover.
No, you covered a lot of good stuff and most of the stuff that people are going to need. It's just that, like I said, with autism awareness, we just need to be aware that we are individuals. And I think a lot of times we say that we're individuals, but we try to lump everything and everybody under this broad stroke and umbrella. And even within autism, autism is not just one thing, it is a lot of different things. And so, therefore, we have to be cognizant of that and we have to be ready to deal with that individually. and not just try to take this holistic approach to everything in every case, which is why they have instruments like IEPs, and which is why there is a whole spectrum of um, autism. Now, I will say that we see a lot more diagnoses of autism today than we did maybe when some of us were young. A lot of it has to do with more information and more proper testing and so forth, and realization of all that autism encompasses. But we also have to take into consideration that percentage where there are misdiagnoses, and there are some students that may be diagnosed, but it may be the ulterior motives behind those diagnoses. So I just want to put all that out there, and not neglecting the high level autism. I've worked with what we talk about as traditional autism, but I've also worked a lot with
El Teddy.
students. A lot of them are introverted. Is my internet
El
now?
Teddy. Yeah, we have it. Yeah, you're going in and out,
Am I
and
here?
you're here. You're here. You're back now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Go back. Okay. Start.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, what I was going to say was I've worked with a lot of students on the higher end, those maybe with what we know to be Asperger's, and they traditionally are the introverted students, those students who people call them emo. You hear that term a lot, emo, goth, and different things like that. And they're very high functioning and quite intelligent. They just are socially awkward. And a lot of times they are fearful of being in large crowds or being around large gatherings of people. And it takes a lot as an instructor to get those students to express themselves, especially in the forms of doing a project or presentation and things like that. And a lot of times you end up having to make accommodations in order to um, get that student to have a presentation or make or get a good grade in your class for that reason. So there's a lot that goes into that. I've
Um.
had to be very creative
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Um. I put the link for autism. That link is it's to an autism certificate center. The when you get to the website, it's really a website for people who are interested in getting a certificate in autism and teaching a certificate. However, um if you there's a on that website, on that first page, there is a video, and it gives you strategies, and it's a video that is geared towards parents or home caregivers for students, and it's 30 strategies on how to deal with the student at home, basically. And so if you go to that page, you'll see it'll be you'll be like, oh, this is just for people who want to learn how to teach. No, there's a video on that page that I found that may be useful as a resource. Again, it's not a one-stop shop, and it's 30 different strategies. So don't try to use all 30 strategies, but figure out, watch the video and see what will work for your student, your child, and how you can incorporate it. Remember, what we've always said from the beginning is that the most important thing is consistency. So maybe pick one or two of those strategies and see how they work over a period of time. To see if it's going to work for your child. And if not, then go back to the video and see if there's something else. But don't just try to throw everything. Try one or two at a time, because 30 is a lot. It's a lot of strategies. So there's no way you're going to be able to do all 30 strategies at one time. So and then, of course, we know that there are different age levels as well. So that was actually one of the better resources that I found that were free. So that'll help you. And again, like I said, Autism Speaks, if you just go to that website, there are a lot of branch off links that you can just explore when it comes to autism. The one thing I do want to share with you guys, I found the a myths page um that I want to kind of go over with you guys. Hold on. Here it is right here. Hold on. Yeah, and on that, also on Autism Speaks, there's a whole COVID-19 information and resource page that you can go through. And again, it's a variety of resources and links that will take you to other places. But I didn't explore every single link, but there are a lot of resources on here that will help you. And it is specifically geared towards COVID-19. Hold on, let me share the screen so I can show you guys what I'm talking about real quick. Here it is right here. So here it is right here, you guys, and you can see what I'm talking about. This is what the page looks like. If you go to the Autism Speaks homepage, there's a link right at the top that says COVID-19, and you just click that link and it'll bring you here. And as you can see, there's a link here for families. There's a link here for adults who are on the spectrum. There's a link here for educators and health professionals, non-English resources, and then different events related to COVID-19 and students who are dealing with autism. And of course, there's a advocacy link. If you're looking for someone to help you, someone in that area of advocacy that can help you, if you're suspecting that maybe your student or child is dealing with autism. Okay, so that is one resource. And then I wanted to go over something really quick with you guys that I found as well. Let's talk a little bit about some myths. So this again is on the Autism Speaks page. You see here, that's the link I was talking about right there at the top that says click here for resources on the autism community. That's the link that you click. So if you go to Autism Speaks right here, it takes you directly. This is the home. This is the page I went to, but this link is at the top of the home page. Okay. So here are just some myths to keep in mind when you're talking about myths. Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. I got some feedback. I thought it was okay. I'm about to say, El Teddy, who that lady over your house? It was my own voice. Okay. But here's some myths that the first myth is people with autism don't want friends. I think because a lot of times we see people with autism depicted as nonverbal, or sometimes depicted as angry, or what have you, that we think that they want to be alone or they don't want friends. I think that goes without saying. Everybody wants friends. Everybody, longs for that connection. People with autism can't feel or express emotion. Again, I think that's something that we know is not true. Is that me or you, El Teddy? El Teddy, can you hear me? El Teddy,
Yes. Yeah.
okay. I don't know. We're having a bad connection today. I don't know if it's me or you, but the connection gods don't want us to be great today. I don't know. All right. People with autism can't understand the emotions of others. And again, that is just not true, you guys. People with autism are intellectually disabled. That is not true. And we talked about that when we did our special education series. Number 5, I thought was interesting. People with autism are just like Dustin Hoffman's character in Rain Man. And I think a lot of people see, or they hear autism, and I think that's people's thought of what autism looks like. And that's one aspect of the spectrum, of autism, but that is not the full spectrum of what autism looks like. But I think that is what people think when they think of autism. So everybody doesn't look like Rain Man. All people that have autism are not mathematical geniuses and are going to win Jeopardy and all of that. So that is definitely a myth of what autism looks like. People who display qualities that may be typical of a person with autism are just odd and will grow out of it. Um, and that goes back to Reese's Pieces question. And it says here autism stems from biological conditions that affect brain development, and for many individuals, is a lifelong condition. So, again, I've heard people say, "Hey, I think Tony Braxton is a famous one who said, oh, he doesn't have it anymore." But again, I think as the brain develops, it manifests differently. Um, Holly Robinson Pete, her son was going around saying he didn't have it anymore, and she had to kind of caution and say, "No, no, 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 you still have autism, but you're able to do things that they said you weren't going to be able to do." When Holly Robinson Pete's son was diagnosed, they said he would never speak. They said the doctor said he would never do a whole lot of things. And RJ graduated from high school. He drives. He has a job. So I think in his mind, oh well, I don't have autism if I'm able to do all these things they said I couldn't do, and that doesn't. That's not what that means. So, um, autism is just a brain disorder. Again, it is not a brain disorder. Um, it does, you read here where it says that research has shown that many people with autism have a co-occurring condition like epilepsy, gastrointestinal disorders, food sensitivities, and many allergies. So it's not just a brain disorder. Autism is caused by bad parenting. Well, you guys, we know that that's not the case. Prevalence of autism has been steadily increasing for the last 40 years, and that is very true. You see the numbers here. The prevalence of autism has increased 600% over the last 20 years. And I would think that some of that is connected to the people being diagnosed with autism, whereas 40 years ago, maybe that wasn't the diagnosis, but it definitely has increased. And therapies for people with autism are covered by insurance. Now, this was something that I did not know. In many cases, the therapy for a child with autism is not covered by insurance. And so I thought that was very, very interesting. Yeah. But this is one of the things that Autism Speaks is working towards, is getting that to be included and become a part of your typical insurance policies. So, good morning, Really B. I worked with adults with autism. It was a blessing and challenges at time. I worked with the highest and the lowest on the spectrum. Exactly. So, one proud grandmama. Thanks for coming in. But yeah, exactly. So you said you've worked with one end. So not you understand, but was she saying the same thing we were saying? Like, it's a spectrum. It's not a one size fits all. Like, oh, you have autism and it looks like this. So it's definitely a spectrum. Well, thank you so much. Definitely hard earned work. El Teddy, you want to jump in? Anything you want to add or subtract or adjust?
Just real quick, not to belabor the point, but I think one of the issues that a lot of parents, and you spoke of Tony Braxton and Holly Robinson Pete, is I think that what gets lost in the shuffle is there are laws. This is medical condition, and we do have HIPAA laws that says that someone's medical condition should not be for public consumption and public information. And a lot of times, some parents, instead of giving that child the privacy of being able to have a condition and not having the whole world look at them with, this magnifying glass and looking them as someone to pity, they just go ahead and say, "Oh, my child has this, my child has that," and what happens is that child always has to grow up with the stigma of having that. And now, and when that child gets older, it's okay maybe when that child is younger, but as that child starts to grow into their own and become older, that may not be something that they want to have always, over their head. And now that individual has to live with everybody every time they see him. Oh, that's the child with autism. Oh, that's the guy with autism. Oh, and they may be someone who can function with it and have you not know that. and now they're never they've been tampered with. They're never going to have that be able to happen. So that's not fair to them as well. So as you are seeking, that's why we do have programs like inclusion, and we do have things put in place in the education system so as not to put that student's information out there to the general public that just may not need to know.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And specifically, definitely with HIPAA laws. And that's something that as educators, we are definitely held to that standard as it relates to HIPAA laws, and it connects to what we not only what we can and can't say, but what we can and can't know. A lot of times when it gets into 504 plans, there are things that we don't always know the details of. So I agree with everything you just said, Professor Teddy. I'm sorry. So, but I wanted to just address and acknowledge where we were as Autism Speaks Autism Awareness Month. So the second thing we wanted to kind of bring to you guys today, we had great ideas as it related to what we were going to do for the month of April. We had a whole series of testing information planned, but of course, with the new world that we live in, some things are mute points for right now. Some things are going to look different than what we originally thought they were going to look different. And so in most states, the state testing has been canceled. And that is what one of the things we were going to talk about, the park exam and the different end of the year state testing. And we were going to go over some strategies and information that parents would be helpful to parents as it relates to that. But of course, in most places, school's canceled until the end of the year. In other places, it's canceled until so late in the year that there probably will be no state testing this year. So what I did want to talk about was two specific programs: the Advanced Placement Program, also known as AP, and the International Baccalaureate Program, also known as IB. I'm just going to give you guys some updates to what the testing looks like this year, if you have any students that are in these programs. And then we'll talk about the advantages, disadvantages, and what those programs actually are. So IB is I'll speak on IB, is International Baccalaureate Program. The thing about IB, the testing for this year, the way it looks is this. There are two different tests for IB. You have an internal test and you have an external test. The internal test, and it's just what it sounds like. The internal test is done in-house by the IB coordinator at your child's school, and it's coordinated that way. The external test is just what it sounds like, is the test that comes from the actual IB program, and they administer that test. Now, the external test for this school year was canceled. There is no external test for IB. The internal test, however, did move forward. Now, unfortunately, I'm kind of bringing you guys this information a little bit late because this week is the ending of IB testing. In some school districts, they may extend that date, but the actual due date for the test to be sent in is this week. But what it looks like is, for example, if your child is in IB history, then their internal test was like an investigation that they had to, use a document-based question and be able to explore it and explain themselves and things of that nature. If your child was in IB language, they were taking Chinese or French, then it was an oral exam. Psychology, a case study. Science, there was an experiment. If there was a music, they had to do a performance. If it was IB art, they had to do a project. There are definitely advantages and disadvantages with that happening, especially from the language perspective, because the oral exam, maybe a child did okay orally, but they excelled in the written language, but they're not going to have that opportunity to submit a written section of the test because that was the external part of the test. So in some cases, you could definitely see the pros and the cons of this, but that's what it's going to look like for this particular school year. The AP exam has been adjusted from the point of view of they did extend the date. So I know for our school district, the AP, well, not school district, it's college board. Anyway, they changed the dates. They moved the date back a little bit. So instead of the test being the first week of May, it's the second week of May. They are moving forward with the test online. So we had to make sure that all of the kids had a laptop and had the internet. It is a 45-minute exam. So they've reduced it from, a 2 or 3 hour exam to a 45-minute exam. I know for the test that I'm giving my students, it is 2 open-ended questions, and then the rest is multiple choice. And then they've abbreviated the material that you're covering. So instead of covering from the subject I teach, it's 9 units. Instead of covering 9 units, it's only going to cover 7 units. So it looks a little different, but it's still moving forward and it will still count. So that is what testing for the AP and the IB is looking like for this school year. I'm not sure about any other tests that kids make, and like I said, I know that statewide testing, you could check it as state by state, but certainly if your school district has canceled school for the rest of the year, I'm certain there's probably no test. But definitely, like we always tell you, check with your particular district and what they're going to do about testing. Because I can't speak for all 50 states. I have no idea. But I know in my area that they've been canceled. All of the statewide tests have the end of the year tests and stuff like that have been canceled. The college board though is moving forward with, like I said, the AP exams. And then the IB program, I just told you how that was adjusted. So if you have some Google Sweetwater Special Community is in North Carolina. Oh, if you have time.
Let me just say this really quick, really big, because I got 35 that answers, so I have to get off a little early. Um, if you paid for AP testing, check with your school district. Maybe many school districts giving refunds.
They are.
Because of the situation, they just don't feel it's fair to have, because even with the adjusted testing, the students didn't prepare for that. They prepared for a different style of testing, and so they're not with their instructors so that they can instruct them on how to best prepare for that type of um, test or the changes to the test. So most school districts honestly are not going through with having the students do it anyway. And so they are offering a refund if your district made you pay for it. I know some districts they pay for your child, but if you paid for your child's test, check with your district. They're offering many different solutions to it, either a refund. I know some districts where they're saying, well, if your child takes an AP course next year, they will that money can go toward the test next year. So just check with them, because that's important, and you need to be doing that probably as soon as tomorrow, because the time for AP testing is fastly approaching. So I will be doing that sometime this week to check with your school district. Principals, most principals and a skeleton crew are still at the school site in a lot of districts. So check with this. Call the school. You can call your school first to see. I wouldn't call definitely early in the morning, but I would say most schools, most principals are there at least by 10 in the morning local, and see, if someone's there. If not, then definitely reach out to the school district. But I know I have, like, my phone has not stopped buzzing. I got some things I gotta answer for work. And so that's why I wanted to get that small part in, because I know that is happening, and I don't want you to get your money wasted.
Yeah, and El Teddy, whenever you have to click off, just go ahead and click off. We already spoke, so I know you got a lot going on your end. Yeah, El Teddy is absolutely correct. And I know in my district, students who have paid for the test the parents were allowed to get a refund. The catch 22 in my district that they did though was, if the district paid for your test, if your child got a waiver and the district paid for the test, the student is still expected to take the exam because the district is still administering the exam. So again, you want to check with each school district. It changes, it's different. But if you did pay for your child to take the AP exam, or even if your child was scheduled to take the AP exam, make sure you contact the office in your district, or even the person that's on the school level. The AP coordinator at the school should have information. I know the AP coordinator at my school was able to pass on information that came down from the district as it related to what the test was going to look like and what we were or weren't going to do as a district. But you're right, there is an opportunity, but the window is, yes, the window is definitely, if it's not already closed, it's definitely closing. So you definitely want to check into that ASAP. Really quickly, and then we're going to go ahead and hop off. I just want to go over a couple of real quick, few more things. El Teddy, you there? You keep, I don't know, you have really bad connection today. Hello?
Yes.
Hey, okay, you're back. Really quickly, and then I know you got to hop off. Really quickly, as someone who taught AP for many, many, many years, can you just kind of maybe just give a quick 2-minute overview of the AP program? What the advantages are? If you were speaking to a parent, what the advantages would be for a child enrolling in an AP class, and what that child should come in with. Like as a teacher, what you need your child to come, what you need a student to come in with.
2 minutes. Wow.
Well, I mean, no, take the time you need. I just know your time is limited today. That's all.
No.
The time you need.
That's about all I have. We definitely are gonna have to come back and for this and
Oh,
for
definitely. Yeah, we
not just
definitely
AP
come
but
back.
advanced academic. Um, but just I don't even know what I could. Well, let me say this. It's definitely a program that is should be taken advantage of. It is difficult, and the problem is a lot of people run away from things that are hard and difficult. I mean, they're not going to get you to. You're not going to think that they're going to get you to pay for them to pay for college credits, and you not have to pay for it, and it not or at a price. So that happens. If you feel like your son or daughter is at level, certainly you especially students of color, make sure you reach out to your school site, be an advocate for your child. You definitely want to reach out to other teachers that you may know, maybe a previous teacher. A lot of times teachers of color do see the potential in others, in the students of color, so they can maybe also get in the fight with you and be an advocate for that child and give a recommendation for that child to get into it. The hardest part is getting your foot in the door. You can't play the game if you're not in the game. So if you're not in the, and now a lot of them want you in the game, so you don't have an opportunity to show that you can play the game. That's what you got to do.
El Teddy is having some issues this year. I mean, this today, he's having some issues. We'll definitely come back to AP, but I just wanted, while I had him on the line, to speak on it. But it looks like he's frozen up on us. Not really sure what's going on with his connection today, but I do know he's got a lot that he's got to go handle. So he may or may not be able to get back on here. You said, I feel bad for the parents who have to homeschool their child who have a learning disability and has an IEP. Yeah, you're struggling to help your 7-year-old grandson who has ADHD. It is definitely a struggle. We were talking about that a little bit yesterday. It's definitely a struggle. And I do empathize and sympathize with parents who are now dealing with their students who have learning disabilities on all levels. I I mean, I'm still looking for resources and suggestions. I've reached out to some friends of mine who are special education teachers to have them come on and speak about resources that they may be privy to, or strategies and things of that nature that they may be privy to. And I will continue to try to bring you guys information, and I'll post it as I get it. But it is definitely a struggle, and I really do empathize with parents, because again, it's different dealing with your child, and then trying to deal with your child as far as teaching and educating. It's definitely a difference. And so I definitely empathize. So I will, El Teddy and myself, we will continue to bring you guys resources as often as we can, and on a variety of areas and levels to help you guys. ADHD, oh gosh, I would definitely just try to employ a lot of strategies to help with the energy. I would do short sessions and frequent breaks. Um, I wouldn't try to sit down for an hour at a time or 2 hours at a time. They just can't. They just can't. I would do maybe 15 to 20-minute sessions, and then let them have a snack. I mean, I don't know what eight you said, 7. Yeah. I would probably do 15 to 20-minute sessions and then do a snack or have a break, or let him play a video game for 15 minutes and then come back. Like, I would definitely do frequent breaks. Absolutely do frequent breaks. And I know that that's a lot, and I know that that's I know that y'all have other stuff to do. I get it. But that would be my first suggestion, is that you definitely come up with a set schedule that includes breaks. Let him see that he's going to get a break, so he knows that there's something to work towards, to say, okay, from 9 to 9:15, we're going to do math. But from 9:15 to 9:25, you can go play with the dog, or you can get on the phone for 10 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what types of incentives will work for your grandson, but that that would be my first thing, is that I would have a schedule so that he can see that this is not an endless thing. Oh, okay, well, if I sit here for 15 minutes and I pay attention to grandma, or I pay attention to mommy, or if I sit here for 15 minutes and I quietly read my book, or if I sit here and I work on my worksheet, then okay, at the end of that 15 minutes, I get to go do whatever it is that he likes to do, and I would probably do maybe 4 sessions like that with breaks. And I know that takes up time, and I know that you guys may have more things to do. I get it. I do. I really do understand that. But whatever works for your schedule. But that would be my first suggestion, is that you definitely let him know that he will have breaks, and make it something he has to earn, and make it something that he likes. Um, yeah, that would be my first suggestion. Another resource that worksheets.com is another resource I was going to bring you guys, where it's a online website where you can create your own worksheets. And if you have a printer at home, I know everybody doesn't have the resource, but if you have a printer at home, I would maybe even create some personalized worksheets that, number one, are not so much connected to what he should be learning in school, but connected to what it is that you guys are doing with him personally. You can personalize that and create worksheets for him. And you can make them as personal as his name. Things that are relating to y'all's family in your house. Like, if you want to put people's names in, that might keep him interested. Or if he likes a particular TV show, you can gear the worksheet around that TV show and incorporate the characters from that show, but still be testing him on the skill you're trying to teach him. And that's again, and again, if you have the resource to print at your house, that's something that you guys can work on. So I would definitely, those are the kinds of things I would suggest. And I will, like I said, I will keep looking for resources and tap into some of my friends who maybe can give me some more ideas. But let me know how that works. See if you guys start that off tomorrow, and see how that works. You put up a visual board. That's great. That's perfect. Yeah. Because the thing is this, we all want to know when something's going to end, right? Like, we all want to know when it's going to end. When can I stop doing ... Like, we all want to know that answer, right? When you go into a meeting, don't you want to know when it's going to end, even though it never ends when it's supposed to end? We want to know the end. And so kids are no different, especially kids who have a hard time paying attention. Like, they want to know, well, how long do I have to sit here? Well, how long do I have to do this? How long do I have to do that? And if he and you mentioned earlier about him having an IEP, put in place whatever his IEP is. So if his IEP says that he gets frequent breaks, then that's what y'all doing with him at home. If his IEP says that, I don't know, another example, extended time to do an assignment, then give him more time. Even if you think you should have been done this in 10 minutes, we only asked you 3 questions. Why is it taking you so long? Remember that at school, he gets extended time. So you got to do the same thing with him if you're doing it at home. And there's a reason why he gets extended time. He gets extended time, not because he can't do it in 10 minutes, because he gets distracted. And he's paying attention to everything else and not finishing it in 10 minutes. So those are the types of things that I would suggest. But me working with autistic people has helped me with teaching him. So I've been using some of them. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of bring a skill set to the table. Absolutely. You kind of bring a skill set. So yeah, those are the types of things I would sort of suggest. We've lost El Teddy, I believe. I know he had limited time and it looks like he was having a connection issue. So it's all good. I'm gonna talk a little bit about IB. And again, we're gonna bring this back around on a day when his connection isn't giving us a hard time. We're going to bring it back around. And Belize, I saw you say earlier that we're here early. Yeah, we're here early today because El Teddy has to go to work and he has some stuff he has to do today. So it was either let's do it early or not do it at all. Trust me, look, y'all know early ain't my thing. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the IB program. If you're not familiar with IB, IB is International Baccalaureate. And it is just that. It is an international program. It is a program that is recognized throughout the world, not just the United States. And so that's where it's a little bit different from the AP program. IB program is it deals more with a global mindset. So what we're teaching, and I say we because I teach IB, but what we're teaching the students is to have more of to be open-minded about the world and have more of a global mindset. It's not, even though I teach U.S. history IB, well, the pre-IB program, but I teach it as a U.S. history. Even though it's a U.S. history class, we're still trying to give the students a global vision of it. So we're talking about how did this policy look to the rest of the world, or how was it perceived in the rest of the world. We're teaching the kids how to break down the information and be able to share it in a not so perfect, like it doesn't have to be wrapped up in a perfect bow, but we want to know your thinking. I say why a lot in my IB classroom. Why did that happen? Why? And we keep digging and we keep digging. I tell my students all the time, I'm not so much concerned about getting to the end of the textbook as I am concerned about digging deep in the topics. You see what I'm saying? And so, but it is internationally recognized. And the way it looks now, some IB programs can start as early as the elementary school level with the how it's taught, that mindset that I was telling you guys about. But it's in high school is where you're actually officially in like IB, and the goal is to get an IB diploma. So first of all, the diploma looks different. It doesn't look like what your school district's diploma is. It's a different diploma. Second of all, it is internationally recognized. You can go to Japan with your IB diploma, and it is internationally recognized. So it's as if you graduated from the IB program in Japan. And the end goal, and the reward is, in most schools, whether they are HBCU or predominantly white institution, you are skipping at least one semester of college. In some cases, you go straight to your sophomore year. If you get an IB diploma, when you enroll in college, you are already considered a sophomore. They are giving you credit for those 30 credit hours, and you are a sophomore. So it's almost as if you're skipping a year of college. Um, in some schools, it's a semester, but it's anywhere from one semester to 2 semesters of college you skip. So is it a challenging program? It is. But is it a very rewarding program? Absolutely. Um, and again, there's testing involved, and there are different criteria. So these are programs that as a parent you may look into enrolling your student in, but please make sure that your child is ready for the challenge. Again, that doesn't mean they have to be perfect. It doesn't mean they have to be the smartest kid in the building. No, it doesn't. But understand that there's a challenge involved. It's not, it's not a cakewalk. Um, so you guys, that was pretty much it. We were gonna, again, with this everything being what it is, with kids being at home and the whole pandemic, our world looks a little different right now. But we definitely wanted to bring you guys information. We wanted to continue to come to you and give you an opportunity to talk to us, share with us, vent with us, complain to us, ask for help, and we wanted to definitely continue to be here for you guys as a resource. Again, the email is scrolling at the bottom of the video. Please reach out to us if you have a question, a concern, if you have a resource you want to share. One proud grandma just shared a resource with me, and I'm going to definitely look into it. She was telling me to check into the Sweetwater Spectrum Community. She said it's in Northern California, and it's for adults who have autism. And I definitely am going to check into it. And I definitely want to learn more about it. Sounds like an awesome program. I know the Holly Rod Foundation, started by Holly Robinson Pete. That is from the outside looking in now. I'm not on the ins and the outs, but from the outside looking in, it looks like it's a great organization that has helped students with autism in the California. I know they have built a actual resource center in the California, in the LA area. So definitely I will check into that, Miss Proud Grandma. Thank you so much, because that sounds very interesting. And I'll pass that information on. But if you guys have anything you want to share with us, anything you want us to know, any questions you want us to ask, please just drop it. I check the email every week before we start planning for our show, so that we can go over anything that's in there and address anything that's in there. So it doesn't sit dormant. We do check it. We do look at it. We do address it. But thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and get ready to log out. I know we're a little short today. We usually try to keep it to an hour. We're a little early, but I definitely want to, I know we're here early this morning. We normally don't come this early to you guys, but I think I've addressed everything in the chat. If I missed anything, I think we were having a few technical issues this morning, but if I miss anything, definitely let me know. Be sure to drop it in my in the email. And you guys have a great day. I'll probably be on my personal channel later on today to talk to you guys about stuff. All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a great day.